I'm going to call to order Board of Alderman special meeting Thursday, May 19, 2022 at 7:30. If I can get a roll call vote, please, Ms. Sarah.
Alderman Motley? Here. Alderman Hudson? Alderman Wilkins? Alderman Deckard?
Here.
Alderman Rogers?
Present.
Alderman Magley?
No.
If everybody can stand for the pledge of allegiance with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Harold?
I'll open up comments for citizens. I don't see any citizens here, so, and I haven't had, have you had one?
So comment, I did get a phone call, I think.
That's what I was gonna ask. Okay.
About, cats.
405.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
gonna talk
So
to you.
she's curious of why we don't have something similar to the leash law for dogs. Not necessarily the leash, but
That you have
why,
to keep them under control?
yeah, why do cats get to roam? so
Her
much?
thing
Which I-
was is that they caught 5 cats. There's a whole bunch more. She can't walk through her yard without stepping a cat yet. So she would like to know if there's something we could do about that.
Okay,
Uh,
so maybe we should talk to Sandy and find out what the present,
Some of the cats are licensed, some of the cats aren't licensed. So,
So cats are required to be licensed, just like dogs are. There is no leash law for cats. They are allowed to roam. If they're not licensed, she can let code enforcement know, and she can set traps.
well, Sandy set the traps over there.
She did, okay.
Yes.
I'll just have to review what our ordinances are, and then I can bring it back to see if there are any changes that we want to make.
so, yeah, we'll check into it. So thank you for bringing that forward, because I was gonna ask anybody else to get emails. I didn't get any this time, so everybody else. So that closes comments for citizens, then we'll move on with that. Look, the main reason we had this meeting, I thought it was important for us to have this meeting again. This is a moving thing that's got a lot of implications. And the other night, one of the things I didn't think that we talked about, that we're checking into now, and we're trying to get as much information as we can, but we're trying to also proactively do what we can without spending extra money that doesn't make sense. And we went out and looked at the site the following morning. Mike and I went out, spent time with Gary out there. I looked it over, Mark, excuse me. And so one thing I will say is it's really nice work. It's pretty slick. They've done a really good job of what they've done. And
they're actually done now completely with the bottom.
mhm.
So,
But we have the water spot that we all know about, we talked about, so we kind of looked at that, we talked about it, and there's some thoughts about probing into it. The other thing that I don't think that we thought about the other night, and at the MML meeting last night, I did go over and talk to the DNR guy that was there. He's in a completely different division, but he could get us back, and what it inevitably went back to was the gentleman, Joshua, I think, was that who we talked to down the phone, right? Josh Brown. So he's the one that's been involved with our project, knows our project and all of that. The question I had was, okay, the upper basin takes care of our 20-year need. The other might give us 30, but there's still quite a bit of, it's not as big as the upper one, but there's a lot of volume there. There's been a lot of work done there. And so what happens to that money? Because they're the ones it's their money. They're the bank on this thing. We're gonna figure out what that was. And what does that mean? So we were gonna have their finance department talk to us about if we abandon that, because he said there may be a chance that some monies may not transfer. So then that, I don't want us to cut our nose off by our face. We gotta get some more facts. But if it means we spend another $75,000 to end up with something that will test and we have, we probably are gonna be better off than losing. The economics are gonna go the other way on us. We're gonna have a problem. Because what's a $200,000 basin?
The,
150 or?
The upper is 370 and the lower is 150.
Okay? So $150,000 sitting there. And the other thing is, when you abandon it, to go back, it's not as simple as us having done the paint engineering for the road out, to the business, when we had that road that was up for, because that engineering's always good. You can always go back, you gotta get your, easements, that kind of thing, and that, so that engineering wasn't wasted money. You can always go back and we can do it in phases and finish that road when the time comes that we see the need to do that. With this, you kinda lose what you got. Because once you don't seal that thing, and it sits there 3, 4, 5 years, you're gonna have a lot of work to make it to where it's usable at all. You probably have to redo the damn thing completely, it looks like to me.
And the conversation, what I took from the conversation with Josh Brown at DNR was that he's gonna have to get some more information, obviously, he didn't give us anything definite, but he would have to go talk to the finance people to find out if we'd have to renegotiate our loan. So that means that this 150 could come out of our own pocket.
And aren't we, right now, aren't we talking about maybe digging to see if it,
Well, and so,
that's the
yeah,
first step here?
yeah, so here's what, and Blake, you wanna give us, we'll talk about the Fisher stuff. Why don't you, I think at this point, we're having a discussion, but I think that we should have you give us an overview of options and so forth like that, but,
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak on that financial item from DNR, and kind of where I'm a little confused on maybe if, did they say they were gonna take that money?
he didn't say that, he said the finance group would have to confirm what they would do in that situation.
Okay.
He seemed very open to coming up here and working with us and seeing what we could do to get, he wanted to come and inspect, and he wanted to do some things in the next couple of weeks, make a trip up here and arrange it to come.
Because the way I look at it is with the last payout that Fisher submitted, and it was on the 17th of March, the basins got paid out, both basins, upper and lower, 80%. So that was paid by DNR to the city, to the contractor. So that's, in my opinion, allotted. It's already,
That's your opinion.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the federal government.
that's true.
Yeah, and that's not abandoning it, that's to finish the job.
They allotted it with the intent for us to finish it, now that it doesn't get intended, they're lending us money for, it's like, okay, you're borrowing money on a car, and you were gonna go buy a car, but you don't have a car, so we need our money back. I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying, how many of these have you done?
This is treadmill.
I've never been in this.
Oh, so
exact-
my
this is
point,
treadmill.
neither have we, okay?
Right.
So understandably, we need to go to the source, and I think with us working with these people, talking to them, which we're doing, and you guys are doing, it puts us in a better light with them that we're trying to do the right thing for the taxpayers' money and the money they're loaning us at an interest rate that's cheaper and all that other kind of stuff that goes with this, to where we can be at a point that maybe we can get to the finish line of this thing. That's all I'm saying, but, because the response today wasn't at all confrontational, it was very helpful, very thankful that we wanted to, and he wanted to rearrange and talk about the relationship and what we've been working on, so I mean, I'd like to get up, take a look at it, and, you know, that's another perspective, because if he comes in there and says, well, I would feel this would be good, you know, and then we got their buy-in of how to finish it maybe, but we have to see, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, well, it's a moving target.
It is, it really is. And, so anyway, go ahead, but
Yeah, and I guess for this discussion, I'll set that aside for now.
let's look at what we think the options are at this point.
Okay, so what we discussed a little bit last meeting was the remaining balance in contingency for the wastewater was around 111,190.18. So obviously we presented the pumping scenario, temporary pumping at Benoit and Rhodes, with some electric service extensions that we've got some cost for. If you all have got this in front of you, I'd like you to direct your attention to that. And I'm just gonna walk through this as best as I can, and then we can just add questions and comments after that. So like I said, the remaining balance in the contingency is 111, 190.18. You'll see two options on the lower half of the page there. Option 1 on your left and option 2 on your right. These are two options to move forward with not utilizing the lower basin, but it's not destructing the lower basin. It's leaving it how it is to date, but just utilizing the upper for our needs for the project, which the upper has enough storage for our project, well over. We needed 85 acre feet and we have 107 in the top. So we're meeting that. So these two options, option 1 and option 2, are on this table up here, and they have associated costs for Fisher to complete. The 53,000 and the 16,000. So what I'm also going to talk to is they have a couple line items on their pay application for gravel drive. So in total, they are scoped for $141,330 of installing gravel drive. What we're proposing to do is to eliminate all the gravel drive, which is basically on the top of the berms and going to the berms, to gain $140,000. To do this extra improvement, that the option, whichever option we choose, and to also pay for our over budget price, with all the extra stuff we've been doing, the electric service, and then the 3 months of temporary pumping at Benoit.
How much is all that costing?
So our additional fee is $62,892.50.
For that 3 months and all that?
That's for just extending it for the life of this project to get it completed. With the extra lead times on everything,
Understood.
running the extra hydraulic analyses for the temporary pumping and whatnot. The known overages from electric service, these are the Northwest and Benoit numbers that, Mike, I believe that's the number, because they stayed firm on the 31 and the 9,000 and some change. So that's to throw it in the contingency. And then the cost for 3 months of temporary pumping at Benoit is the $35,000 approximately. And then the cost for 1 month of temporary pumping at Rhodes is roughly $15,000.
Okay, when you got the temporary pumping, what are you including? That sheet that he sent?
Yep.
No,
So that's for 3 months at that monthly rate, that $57.23, plus the delivery of all equipment, the pickup of all equipment, the install of all equipment, tear down of all equipment. And that's incorporated in those two costs for.
You don't have a diesel fuel figured into that, correct?
No, that is figured in there.
It is figured in that number?
Yes, the Benoit has 12 grand in it for diesel fuel, and then 4,000 for roads.
And this is being figured of us splitting the cost?
We're not there yet.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So.
So this is, and then if you move to the right of the table, it kind of, so there's two main columns you'll see. You'll see without the removal of gravel, and you'll see with removal of the gravel drive that we discussed. That's on top of the berms, and it goes in between the berms. If we remove that from Fisher's scope, we would attain $141,000 roughly, and some change.
I'm sorry, Mike, didn't we talk with Matt from Bartlett on, I thought we had cost saved gravel going all the way around the basins already?
We have not. We have not.
Because everything we've talked to Fishers about, we have basically what we thought we were at, were that we were going to gravel the.
Just after that upper telescope.
Yeah, we're gonna go across the lower berm of the lower basin, go up the very west side to the telescoping valve and then back. That was it.
Yeah.
That's all we've talked to Fisher about. I thought we had that changed with
We told him
the
to,
cost saving. but-
and he said he
okay.
thought that sounded like a good idea, so.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to.
Currently, the way their pay application sits is the original plan with the drive in the middle, looping to the northwest side of that lower basin, and then extending to the top of the upper.
Okay.
That's currently how their pay app is situated. Now, you can change order it down to just what we just talked about with Matt, but that dollar amount, that $141,330 is gonna decrease. Now, if you all want to, and it might be beneficial, if you all wanna provide the aggregate, just to make that drive where you wanna make it on your own, you're gonna save $141,000. Minus
Not by the
whatever
time
you
we
pay
get
for
truck,
that.
not by the time we get trucked in here, we're paying somebody to spread it.
To pay for it.
I think you have to have works and bring it up, but still,
What about, what about the
That's
excess
double.
dirt on site? Has that ever been change ordered out? Because I thought in the contract it stated they had to haul off all the excess dirt.
Mhm.
And we have agreed in cost saving measures that we would have the dirt remain on site for the city use later on.
and we also told them that we needed neatly stacked and
Yeah.
up that fence road to make that,
But has that been changed to where
That is-
they're getting out of the pay app for not hauling that dirt off? Cause that's a big chunk of money, I
Yeah, there's
think.
supposed to be, what,
55.
50 or
55,000.
50 cubic yards of dirt that was supposed to be hauled off the job site.
yeah.
The southeast corner,
The whole
The whole
job
job
site.
site.
That's
There was
everything
supposed to be
you got to do.
55,000 extra
Oh.
cubic yards of dirt.
yeah, and they're scoped all that off.
Right, what we're saying is that if we agree, which we've already had some prelim talk with them, that they don't have to do that,
They've never taken that, they haven't already scoped that off what they think the road is.
You're saying leave?
leave
There-
the excess
They don't-
dirt,
they
because
don't have
it's
to do
silly
that.
for us to get rid of good dirt that we
They
can
don't
use.
have to do that work.
If you wanna entertain that, then yeah, that would be a negative.
We've definitely told them.
Well, I think that we'd want to, that dirt we can use
Yeah.
sometimes for different things,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt us at all to have
But
that.
we asked that they put it up like up fence road,
Yeah.
ramp it up and just build it up there,
Round
as
it
storage,
off
so
so
we
it
can take
watersheds
it as
off
we
of it.
need it. I thought we actually had told Matt that also too, so.
It's been so long since we talked to him, I don't remember, but I know we have discussed that, and that to me would be a huge negative that they would not have to.
Be paid for it, because it's worth it, they would, change order.
Yeah, it's 55,000 cubic yards, I think what it was, I can't remember,
I think you're right.
it's like 5,000 dump trucks
Yeah.
is what that is.
That
Average.
won't take some time.
And honestly, the less we can do with running 5,000 dump trucks across the lagoon, existing lagoon road would help
Be
us
good
out.
too as well.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Add the rock dip
So I think we definitely need to check into that we get that negative added to our side if we're not gonna have to.
Do we have any idea what that's worth? Matt? You may not, but I mean,
The,
did they talk, did you ever talk to the number about that?
No.
Okay.
No,
the contract just has it as a lump sum, so I don't have it quantified.
You'd have to look at what they're charging per cubic ton to move, or whatever.
We just have lump sum.
You know, but you can back into that number, right?
I can try to, yeah.
Well, I think we need to.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an option. I mean, that dirt's one of the things that we'll keep, because people ask for it all the time. I mean, it might be a lot of dirt, but the bottom line is, it won't hurt nothing sitting out there to be of value to us to have and move as needed. I would think that would be an easy, that's a no-brainer, I think, there to stack that up and save that money. So we need to figure that one out.
Absolutely.
Make sense?
Where were they gonna haul it to?
but we don't know. I mean, not to
I don't have a
us.
clue.
Not our problem.
It's not our-
They had hauled it off, so.
I know, but that could be, how far they're going, that could cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, just putting it in the truck and moving it off the property costs a lot of money.
And to be honest, we are really short on clay or any black dirt whatsoever. I mean, we're.
So it'd be good to have in a reserve for a second pile.
We keep places, you know, where that pistol range was, there's a few little piles there. That's what those are for, so if we could build those up, it'd be great.
We definitely want to do that. Just
Yeah, I think,
you know, they need to grade it in a pile, otherwise it's
we
gonna.
gotta shove it up and round it off and
Yeah.
up against
They
that
need to
way.
smooth the slope.
Where you can load from it easy. That's what you wanna be able to load from,
Right,
right?
and it's right, that's what we were talking, putting it up next to that fence would work good.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
You talking about the east fence, Frank?
Uh,
Putting it on the wrong east fence?
Yeah, we're just gonna try to keep it close to that remaining road, so you know, if weather got bad, you can still kind of get in there and get some if you need to, so.
Just roughly speaking, how much do you think that would cost?
Oh, I have no idea, it'd be
Oh, a fortune?
a landing question, I don't know what they
I
charge.
would know, I don't know what they would charge to haul it off.
I mean, if you take, that's good black dirt that he does, but then what's Tim Lewis hauls dump truck full for $300 a load,
Yeah, you're probably looking at $300 or $400 a load.
so you take that.
Hauling has went up a lot in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, fuel right now,
Doubled,
Yeah.
yeah.
so take that times,
So it could be anywhere, it could be $20,000. What'd you say, 5,000?
5,000, roughly 5,000 dump truck loads. yes.
So 5,000 times 300 is
We need some
15,000, right? No, it's
No,
not.
it's more than 150.
50,000,
Yeah,
good.
150, yeah.
That's a good number.
Does he have to move it anywhere from where it's at?
Right now, where it's stacked, if we put it where we would like, yes, but it's not very far. I mean, it would be,
Maybe just shove it, right?
It's
Yeah.
really right between, it's stacked right now between the cells, kind of on that
Yeah.
one edge, the upper edge.
Between the two cells.
Just have to shove it up,
Yeah.
shove it over where we want it.
Pack it down, make it look good. Yep.
So,
So I think that, do we need to have a motion to take that out for sure? I'll entertain a motion that we take that out of the bid price now immediately.
Take the dirt out?
Yeah, the shoving the dirt
I'll
out.
make a motion, we remove hauling off of the excess fill. Approximately 55,000 cubic yards is what they have approximately.
Second.
The first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we voted to go ahead and remove that, because
There
we
still has to
really.
be a change order.
Yeah,
So
we'll have
we'll have it
to.
again, but now that you guys have, that, I guess that's
And leave
the
it on the
direction.
side.
Yeah,
that
we
we-
might as well get the benefit of it.
Right, right.
Who seconded that?
No,
Right.
I did.
So, yeah, we'll have to do a change order, but you can start to work the number up for that change order, so we know what it is to put in there.
So-
absolutely.
So Fisher did give us a cost on what they would charge to dig that, to dig to find the problem, I guess. Not to exceed $3,000, which is in your packet, is their cost to dig to find the problem. That's not, a solution to the problem, it's just finding the issue. Then there was another,
If it finds,
possibly.
if it finds it,
Possibly
because you're still
finding it.
kinda looking for a needle in a haystack, in a lot of ways.
and I don't know, would that be covered in
So,
our project?
so he's proposed $3,000 just to find,
6 holes, one inside where the basin is, where the water is, the wet spot is, digging down to good margin or dry, and then 3 on one side, 2 on the other side,
2 on the west side.
west side,
3
3
the
on,
other side.
on the south side.
so just pop only, not
Yes.
No,
a square area.
no, he's
Just
gonna
test holes.
test holes and then see what fills in, see if we can see where it's coming from.
He's just trying to find.
For $3,000.
$3,000, 6 of them, be the one inside the basin,
You gotta need it for-
where the wet spot's at,
You know, where
because you got a wet spot inside, right, where it's coming from, where we see water coming up in there. It's not gushing in, but it's coming in. And then they were on one side, where it's the west side over there, there should be a couple there, he thought, and then 3 on the south side, across there, to see what we could find. he thinks it's coming uphill, but I don't think it is.
In the south side downhill,
That's what I'm saying, that's the point, right? But,
I'd have
Still
put
have
three,
to get those samples back.
I'd have
No.
put three on the west,
I
and two
checked
on the
today,
south.
yeah.
I can't see it coming.
well, I don't know how to get up here to it, it's not gonna wake up uphill. But I haven't got the sample back. It's not great water, you're pretty sure.
No, it did not look,
Okay.
it looked pretty clear. I mean, I had the guys take samples of the water out of the pits, and also samples out of the lagoon, just to see if there's any coordination between the two. I don't think there's gonna be, man, if that was pushing that much, I'm thinking,
You got a
we
creek.
wouldn't even have to be doing this project, because the water level will be going down.
Right, yeah.
So,
Creek where?
There's a
there's a
creek.
creek right there that's
Remember
not running.
that
I
bridge
mean,
or that concrete crossing?
So do we think that they should dig three
It would be-
West side?
on the west side?
On the south
And
side
two on
of
the
the new
south?
basins,
Okay.
right behind the pump house.
If we were to have them do it?
Here. You
Why?
have to go.
That's the reason we want to dig holes. That would make much sense.
So, and this is just like the holes we've already done the other day, correct?
Back in the-
Similar size.
Back in the, yes.
He's just digging for a wet spot.
Well, I think he's gonna dig down
With the
He's,
backhoe?
he's gonna do the same thing as he did the other
and leave
day,
them set to see if they fill with water, if you
Just-
find any water.
just with, what we did, how many holes we did?
One on each
We
side of the
did,
hole?
we did two inside the berm, or inside the basin whenever we were out there, with Terracon last. So,
So you, in a way, you're doing the same thing, but just more test holes to figure out a defined area for $3,000, it sounds like. So,
The other thing we need to talk about is Terracon. Terracon gives us no satisfaction in a liability way. They're not putting, they're making a recommendation. I'll take your all's thoughts on that, but what we read from Terracon the other day, there's a lot of things you do with that paper other than get a commitment that what they say, if it doesn't work, that you can, they're taking any
What
responsibility.
did that cost us?
Every time they've been coming up here, he told me it was $500.
$500 for them to come out here and do that test.
Or to come supervise, because they wanna supervise the whole.
I don't see what a rock base would do for you. That's not gonna stop the water. It would give you a solid base, but water's gonna come up through there. I mean.
to me, it's gonna push up through rock easier than it is the clay.
Yeah,
If that ever-
it is, 'cause
anything
it's got,
ever-
you got bigger holes.
Yeah, and once it's opened up, it's gonna run forever.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I-
and they're
I
not
just-
letting them compact it. If they let them compact it, I think it would help.
I don't think that vibrating's the problem.
No.
I mean, they've been vibrating everything around that berm, but it's fine everywhere else, so, I mean, it's like concrete.
So I just looked at this and probably should have covered it a long time ago, but what elevation is that pipe coming in the lower basin at down here? Because if we're sitting here, what I'm thinking is all that work, they say, well, put this in and then get off of it, but then you're having to run a pipe in there and put a ditch, a rock ditch down that berm. So you're gonna have equipment right back on top of the bad spot on the second phase of the project. On your lower basin, on the west side, where it says that MoDOT type 2 rock ditch liner, they're having to put that pipe through that berm. So even if Fishers gets this thing compacted and then they say get off of it, the other contractor's coming in and is gonna lay a pipe through that berm and then put a rock liner going down to the bottom. So you're gonna have equipment right on top of it.
right, and they still need to, they've got that suction pipe buried 8 feet back yet.
The one headed south.
Yeah, but I know Terracon's report said, put that in and then get off of it. Well, Fishers can do that, but then is that CNS that has to run that through the
Run
berm?
to the west.
I mean, you still gotta put that rock
2 feet off the floor.
2 feet off the floor,
Which is this here, right?
so you're gonna be
Off the floor, you're gonna be right.
disturbing right where you're at.
Right where the worst spot is.
Are you talking about the fill line or the suction?
The suction line.
Well, on that, right here, where this.
So that MoDOT's a fill line,
That's
isn't
the
it?
fill.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that fill line, where's it coming out on the berm? Do you know? Because if that thing is very low, no matter what we do in this corner and get off of it, somebody else has still got it.
It's not very low. It is, flow line is 2 feet off the top of the berm.
Which is that one. This is suction. Like, what are you saying on the backside here where you got this highlighted here? You're saying take that spillway out with rock?
Well, I just had that just kind of as another map. And also the highlights, Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the highlighted portions have not been completed yet. So that fill line, like Matt, you were saying, has not been completed.
So we would do away with that if we abandoned the lower basin. Is that what we're saying?
And you could install it at a later date.
Yeah, I mean, that
Once you
stuff there, it can be done in the house later on. That's
Understood.
such a simple thing to do.
Understood.
But I guess getting at this table here, the financials, the removing the gravel completely is roughly $141,000. And then if we're saying, the soil is 150, let's just compare those just for this table's sake. And so, as you can see, with that removal, with that extra money, that 140, 150, you're able to pay our extra fee, the electric, and the temporary pumping as well, either at 50% or 100%. If you pay half of the temporary pumping, you're left with more contingency over.
These figures in here are 100% of the pumping cost.
These right here,
Yeah, the 34.
from what they've quoted, correct, with the assumed diesel consumption.
$63,000 more?
Mhm.
Is that what I'm reading?
Mhm.
I'm about to lose my freaking mind. Okay.
So we keep talking about removing the gravel. The gravel's gotta be done before it's complete, right?
Right. If it's still
And we're just gonna
deemed,
remove it from here, and then we're gonna take care of the gravel and pay for it ourselves.
it's
No,
a route
it's
you
not
could
gonna
take.
cost us, it's gonna cost us about the same.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah, either way,
We're
we're
still gonna
paying
pay
for
for
it.
I mean, yeah, it looks good on paper that we're taking it from
But we
Fisher,
still owe it.
but we still gotta do it.
We're hiding it, that's what we're doing, and we're still gonna pay for it, so.
Let me ask you this, do you necessarily need a gravel road?
No, not really, but depends on the situation and the time. I mean, they got the side to side, they can cut across there and run up, but
I know it
but
would
you
be
get
nice.
you get grass and everything in there, you're not wanting to rut it up and stuff either, because you still only gotta be able to mow it. And some parts of it would really be nice to have rock, especially between the cells there. So, cause that's gonna be the easiest spot to rut up and get slick, I mean, cause it's gonna settle out some too, so,
You're gonna,
So, Mike, I got-
you're gonna have to go back there to where those pumps are.
where the valves and everything.
How much milling are we having done?
Um,
How much milling are we having done?
Some of that milling's gonna go away, because that was part of their bid coming in, with Christensen, they'll take that right back to their plant. They won't take it all, but they're gonna take some of that. which, yeah, that would be
Could we
really
use
good.
some
And
of that
back in.
for that road?
We'll
I
have
mean,
some we
that's gonna
definitely can do,
save-
and I could talk to Mitchell about that and see what we, how
Off the
much
roads
he
here in
wants.
town, you know,
Yeah.
that'd be a good
Jefferson
idea.
Street.
Be a great base,
Yeah, and it sticks together.
be a great base.
It's still gonna have some oil in it, but
From off the streets,
From off the street, use
Yeah.
it for
where
gravel.
they do the milling, take and use it as,
Yes.
so,
they were planning on taking as much as they could back to the plant, but that's, you know, but that's hauling for them too,
Gravel
so.
is as a base.
We can work,
It's our call, we'll
Yeah.
do with it, right?
well, let me talk to Mitchell on that, kinda see how much of that he plans in. I know he's not taking all of
How
it.
far
They
is
haven't
it to
got
the plant?
most of it.
Millersburg.
So either way,
Well, this would be close right now.
Oh, yeah.
now.
Yeah, but they can turn that asphalt back into asphalt.
Yeah,
That's the fun.
they'll regrind it and just put it in, so.
This was what we were looking at too.
okay, so
Just straight across here and then up to here is what we
if
We
we're,
can measure that.
it sounds like we're trying to make up a bunch of money to help pay engineering costs as well here in this thing, I looked at. So we've got to figure out,
How we get so high? Over from what we were planning,
On the.
engineering
on our
part,
fee.
yeah. I mean, I hear change orders and I understand, but we're not that far into this wastewater actually, if you wanna get down to it. I mean, yeah, you've had staking, they've put pipe in and everything. It's just, I'm gonna be honest, Blake, there's been a lot of call for people not being on site. I mean, the other day I would've thought Gary y'all would've run out there and seen that, checked it out while you were in town and stuff, and that's kind of been a complaint. We've had to keep calling and saying, man, there's water coming up, we have to make those calls, and every week somebody should have been there a couple times actually. And that's my feeling on that. Matt and I have been out there a jillion times on these things, and it's just, we're paying you all to give those answers, so you can kind of take that back to the house. And we need to negotiate how much we can get back out of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's certainly fair. I do think, obviously, I mean, there's been extra considerations for the pumping analyses, and that's no easy task, I will say that.
I understand the
Just to
pump curves
announce-
and everything, but it's kind of like, we knew almost immediately that Sims wasn't gonna work, so.
And I will say, this fee is for, seeing the project done. I mean, we're gonna do that regardless.
Right.
But that's to keep it, in budget for us. There's been a lot of, extra meetings come up that we didn't originally scope for, and that's part of it.
we've learned a lesson on this. The next time you ever do a project, was 20 years from now, we don't project manage it at all.
I was gonna say.
We hired a project manager, engineering firm to do it. We don't do anything, they do it. Then you pay fees.
We did agree to do some of the inspection, which we have and everything. But on the integral part of building these, checking to see whether they're hitting grades and stuff, that's where I think we needed people to be double checking their shots, seeing how much is getting moved.
And this
I
water.
think that would have helped the reason we had so much slow move the first time. I think if somebody'd been up here, we got one person digging. Well, why have we only got one person? You know, you're getting close to time. That would have helped with that, I think.
Answer me this question. When did the lower basin water problem appear and first originate?
Well, last October, wasn't it?
Very first week of October.
Yeah, I'll say it was right before Thanksgiving.
And it hasn't changed a bit from that time. From today to then, it's the same problem, right?
October 13th, we issued new plans to move the south berm wall of the lower basin north.
It was okay then, now it's not okay.
Which was
It was
the
still
site.
wet. I mean, we were running into water. See, that was another issue there.
You ever ran
We had to
across
make those
anything like
calls,
this
get somebody to
before?
come up and check it. I would call Gary and said, we got water, you need to get up here and check this out. They're running into issues. If somebody'd been on site, they would have known what the problem was. Maybe we might have moved just a little bit faster on this.
So I guess there's a couple of things. Do we think that these holes are of value? It's one thing I need, these prospecting holes.
Well, I started to mention it to Gary, and he didn't like the idea at all.
I will tell you that, Mike and I had we went out and talked to Mark. Mark was on the phone with Chris when we got there. Mark originally came up with the idea, let's dig some holes real quick, see if we can find it. I know the initial conversation with Chris Fisher is that he wanted no part of this bottom corner. He said he was afraid of it, you know, so then all of a sudden that afternoon it changed, like he figured out, hey, I can,
When was this?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning, we ran out after, in the morning.
Right.
Mark originally came up with the idea, so we called Chris. Chris said, absolutely not. I don't want to do it. I don't want to mess with this corner.
Well, why was he acting that way with us then on the phone the next day?
Because he thought about it.
He thought about it and he could make $3,000. That's why. I mean,
Is he thinking he can just get to?
because let's be honest, the chances, in my mind, we've dug out there now
You're not
3
gonna
different
find
times.
where it's leaking.
Yeah, the chances
So,
of them finding that.
What are you gonna gain out of paying $3,000?
I don't think you're getting anything, and I think the chances are, if it's out there and it can be found, it'd be luck of where you dug the hole to find it. You're still digging it, it's a needle.
Well, you could hit it right, you could hit it right here and 10 feet away, if you don't dig there, it could still be there.
It
You
could
don't
be
know.
3 feet from where you dig
Yeah.
the hole.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And
if
it's
you
already
hit it.
shown that, it's already shown that. with
So-
a couple test holes.
He had no idea what.
So we're not worried about the speculating, it sounds like to me, this is like, that's a good thing. The question is,
Both your options are not to use the bottom basin, correct? I mean, it says on the
Correct.
temporary suction, but
So is there an option to still utilize? Is there any way to save it?
So, it would, there would potentially be an option to save it, but there's probably a very high cost with that. And a high risk as well.
What do you suggest to be done?
I don't have that answer right now, but it would, I'm imagining it would require a lot of earthwork.
I mean, even if you abandon it, you're gonna have to allow earthwork to bring that corner up to get it to drain out, correct?
So, on this first option on the left, that suction line is already in there.
use it to drain.
Use it to drain. Don't destruct that lower basin at all. Leave it exactly how it sits,
So you're
Have that
gonna,
drain.
where are you gonna drain it at?
out of that suction pipe in that southwest corner.
And then you're gonna dig a ditch or what's the,
And so the red line is taking that suction line up to the upper basin to pull wastewater from the upper basin to send to wherever you may. While having that drain capability in that lower basin, but you're not tearing out a current.
So if you leave that like it is and just abandon it and do what you just said, and the water stops, let's say in a year, can we go in there and just
That's,
finish it?
that's why I like that option, because it's almost a trial run, right? You get to see how it performs with water and not wastewater,
I mean,
while still achieving the project goal. And you have flexibility.
I think that we still gotta go back to what the finance department says with DNR.
Well, that too, yeah. You
I
have to
think
do
that that's the unknown right now, that we need to find out from them
But
what, don't go word ahead.
I'm just wondering, but if we take then this option and say, this is what we would look at, how will that affect us? I feel like
Yeah.
that's a better option
Better
than
option.
just waiting then.
No,
for them to tell us
I
whether or not
agree,
we can do
100%.
it.
Heather, good point.
Otherwise, help us, tell them to help us try to figure it out, cause
Yeah.
nobody's helping us
And
here.
I may add that on the water side, we came under 111 grand. And so we've had conversations with DNR about moving that over for you all to utilize on this wastewater job. And nothing's final, but it's looking promising.
Well, it would be very
We're
helpful.
not quite done with the water plant yet.
I know.
So I would hesitate to
So-
say anything.
So every option and solution, there's always that kicker, right?
Yeah.
And it's just,
So what if we move forward with this, and we go ahead and we barrel test this if they've got it completed? And that thing gets passed, and we just know that we need to be careful and watch what we do with it. Well, can we do that option? I mean, cause if it's already gonna be done, why not try to barrel test it and get
well,
it
exactly.
passed?
Why wouldn't you? Then you got the
And you got
line.
2
Then you're
foot water
then you're done
to
with
keep it
DNR.
sealed. Yeah.
And
you
you
know,
have
this-
to put a water seal it, that's the problem
Yeah.
you're gonna have.
So if this would've happened after it was done and nobody even knew it, nobody would even know there had been a problem, right? That's kinda what you're
Just
saying.
depending on what that berm, I mean, the floor, I'm not worried about the floor, it's the berm that I'm more worried about.
This thing's like concrete.
it gets-
It's like,
It gets compromised,
You
it's
couldn't
gonna
do
move. You're gonna
The
be-
floor is harder.
it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Is the berm soft?
In this
Just that
corner.
little
of
In
the
the
berm.
corner, in the corner.
Yeah, everywhere else is good except for this corner, so what if we haven't put it back in and we barrel test it, it passes, then we know that, hey, we can't fill this thing all the way up, we gotta kinda watch and see what this thing does before we take it off.
See
And
what
that's a
happens
great
over a
point.
year or two.
Yeah.
Because what I envision is just doing this extension to get this wastewater.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna turn out lucky because that won't be installed or capable of being used, you know what I mean? So what if we, when the upper basin's done, we do the basin test in the upper and the lower, get results of both, and then make our decision on doing this? Well, that failed, okay, well now let's just do the drain line and extend it to the upper, that's our answer.
At that time, make the decision what we're gonna do.
Right, we don't have to go right now,
So we can have them both,
because the
technically
lower is
tested.
done.
We can have them tested. If it fails, it doesn't keep us from doing what was needed for the 20-year plan at the top.
And if it passes,
I think that's,
And then I don't know if we would put that, what about putting that bentonite in there?
What if it
It has
fails?
water in it.
I mean, it still comes back to the financial part of it. What if it fails?
No, we
It's
got,
still not complete.
we have to talk to them about what we're thinking we're gonna do, and this is where we're at, because to be honest with you, you're dealing with subterranean soil and.
What happens if
We'll
that
figure
berm
it
blows
honest,
out,
we're
all the
gonna work
gray
with
water
you.
runs down to that creek?
so I think if you test that and you get the buy-off, like we did on Benoit's from DNR, you're sitting pretty good.
And then,
If it passes,
and then when it blows out, then
Well-
DNR.
What happens when that happens, we take a test, we get slapped on the hand, we'll get a deal, and they'll tell us you can no longer put water in that. I mean, that's basically all they can do to you.
And we're right back to
Is
the.
that okay?
Thank you, God,
No
thank
lines,
They okay. They
Not
give
that
us-
first time.
They
Anytime
sign
we've
off
ever
on
had a
it, you get a
discharge that's
pass,
come
you just
out,
can't keep doing
they're
it.
gonna give you a
Right.
warning,
They say,
you have to do this to
go right
correct it,
ahead.
which will mean you can't put
They
any
go
more
right
in
and abandon it.
And then when it
And
fails,
you're in the same
he's right, when
spot
it
you
fails,
just
but
said.
you, they're not gonna let you do it over and over. I mean, the one time, you get a one-time pass because they proved it. But after that,
Well, and you may find a sweet spot in there that, it holds a certain amount of water, and you just know operation-wise, you can't go above
Land
that,
on a muskrat.
above that.
well, I'm
line.
gonna tell you what, it would be worth getting 2 foot of water in it or whatever.
Yeah,
And
I'm not worried about the floor hole,
I'm not worried
I don't
about
think
the
anybody, that's been out there.
Not at all.
So you're good with what he just said?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Put water in
Absolutely.
that
we could sit there all night and what if
thing. Put
it,
some bentonite in there.
so I'm thinking.
I don't want
It
to
goes
test
to
its
wherever
bill.
that leak is.
What's that?
I don't know why we wouldn't
That's
test it,
what's
there's nothing to
always
lose,
done
it's built.
Right,
All they do is say no, then we gotta do whatever the plan
Exactly.
is to make it work.
then it's the process of elimination, and then you just, go to the next option you
That's what
can.
Ben,
But if it could be easily passed.
he thought,
Right, it could be
Yeah.
easily passed, and DNR
Yeah.
can say,
I wondered if you dug it out 3 foot at 40 by 50.
Yeah. That's what.
And what's gonna work out is we don't have to make that extension to
Before-
You dug about 3
We've
foot,
got
put 2
time.
foot bed in it, and
So the
top
lower is
of it.
completed.
Even on that berm.
The upper is
I-
on the
Put
schedule.
midnight in there.
And you're gonna
top
use the
of
pipe
that
in the future if need be for it to
That's what he's
be a
saying
drain
there.
pipe. But we could see if, with the,
He
let
said
them
he'd
test
Get
it.
that bulkhead
Yeah.
in Texas.
A 30-day test and see what they give
How
us.
much is it?
Give us that, we gotta pass.
Oh,
And
98.
then if we do have a
They can't go back on their own
we have the
45,000.
capacity up top.
That would be enough to do it.
I think we ought to test it. I'm pretty positive it's gonna pass. Just gonna be a matter of finding the sweet spot on that berm that, whatever we need to do, we can make that adjustment, say you can only put 5 foot of
Well,
water in
coming in
there.
the dry season
Have you ever had,
anyway.
you've had burn problems before, right?
We had a problem on
Okay,
the
explain
south,
that to me.
on this pond right here, which, here's where the issue is. This is where the lower basin is, right here, and then the upper basin. On this cell right here, in this corner right here, in 2001, it started leaking really bad right here. And we got a trailer of bentonite and put in there, made our own little castaway raft, floated, had a rope on it, pull back and forth. We take 10, 15 bags at a time, spread it, put it in. It hadn't been wet since.
There you go.
You said when that was, when, you
2001.
said in a boat?
We made a raft, put a couple rafts together, basically pallets what they were, a couple barrels underneath them, floated out there with bags of bentonite, and we would get out and just, somebody was in charge of spreading that way, and another person went this way and pull us back in, we'd reload and just kept doing that until we got it all out there. And it'll go to where that leak
Yeah, it'll
is,
go
I mean,
to leak.
you'll see it start to finally,
Really?
and it shut that thing down.
It's like
Within a
the-
week,
like
you
radiator
were seeing
stop
more.
radiator.
That's what they put in muskrat holes and everything else in them ponds.
I've used it in my pond at home.
And then what's it
That
gonna
bottom
do?
line is this, if it gets tested and we have a need to do that, we would be foolish not to protect it if we thought that there was a need for it getting wet. We would do that to keep the integrity of the berm. Protect
But
it.
that's not,
Is what you're
that's
saying.
just the cost of material, right?
If you had to.
That's not anybody doing any work, that's
I don't
just
know how
material.
Fisher would feel about that.
Well,
If they-
here's what he put.
He just said a thing,
He did.
bud.
He just sent this. He said
Oh.
for 45,000 pounds of bentonite, that's 3,000 pound bags with freight, would be around $9,800. He said, I'm working on a conversion to figure out how much we would need, and he said the 9,800 is a tractor trailer load. Call when you can, and he wanted me just to get back with him, but he ended up sending this, and he said he's working on some cheaper options possibly with bentonite. The main thing he was trying to figure is how much clay to blend with the bentonite as he did it.
Ratio.
Yeah.
A 40 by 50 foot area, 3 foot deep.
What's
is
that?
only
Doesn't sound like he's afraid of it.
Cubic yards. It's not very
Yeah.
much.
Clearly. yeah.
So the point is, the test, my point is,
Yeah, it's not very much.
If we can get the Florida test, then we can work on
we
the.
can work, if that comes up and start to be a problem, we start to see wetness
No,
like we
no,
did
like that
there,
big tractor
we
we
treat
got
it.
sitting out there.
the worst
They're-
case scenario,
they're
we have a
willing to
leak,
do that.
then we have to abandon the whole work.
That's
But
worth
the
the $3,000.
intention is that
No more
The
than
finance
$3,000.
part
Well, that
is
was
not
the
a
whole-
problem if they approve
But
it.
he said, well, I've got.
Once that lower basin, if they approve it with the upper basin, the finance part's not a problem. Because we've met everything that we turned in that we were gonna build. At that point, is that fair to say? So,
So you all applied it after you had the leak.
So should you tell them
The
what you're
lagoon was
doing?
full, that was the problem, and then he
You've
started
already
shutting.
done
We got water coming in, not going out.
Yeah,
You've
But
already
you
asked
put water
them
on
for
top of it, I
that.
don't know what's
no,
gonna happen.
we haven't asked them
Yeah,
exactly, we
they
talked to
don't
them.
They got pressure.
So you've got two proposals from Fisher,
that was just what he was looking
Yeah,
at
one,
to try
one
to.
for the holes.
and then it sounds like one maybe for Ben.
Ben.
I don't think digging the holes, I just.
I think it's a waste of time.
I don't
think
see
it's-
what, and
Okay, so we're gonna,
So
Yeah.
you,
We're not
Harold,
gonna
you're
do that.
thinking the 40 by 50 like they originally had.
you're saying 3 of the holes were here between the basin and the ditch?
Well, it's up actually
Closer to the berm
the
of
next
the new
dark
basin.
spot.
Up here?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
on the,
that's
just
about
on the
where it
south
is.
side.
You
But
got,
that's still downhill, right?
Yeah.
They are pretty dead set that water's pushing out of that lagoon.
Yeah, that's their.
The existing, they're
No.
saying that
Who's
out of,
saying it's coming from?
Fisher.
Yeah.
They're saying it's coming from
Yeah.
here.
Here?
That's
Yeah.
pushing
They're
uphill,
saying it's coming from this one
pushing
and
uphill.
pushing up to here.
there's a wet spot, and I think you got everything coming out of Hughesman's field, which is straight above the primary, Landon. Yeah, right there. You see that
That's
waterway
right,
coming
that's a
down?
waterway
Yeah.
up there.
And see, it's wet right there, from there to the west, or east, going to the second cell, in that ditch that runs beside it.
That's right here.
But you did a water sample, you're doing water samples.
We're waiting on those to come back.
So you're gonna know if that's, if
Yeah,
that's.
once we get those back, we're gonna either say,
Okay.
hey, we have a problem, or hey.
So at this point, I
You'd
don't
be
think we
right.
dig the holes, I think that's foolish. And I think at this point, we go ahead and move forward with getting both bases tested, bids are finished. Worst case scenario, they fail it.
The top one's not done, but he said 3 weeks, wasn't it? And that we were saying about the level.
Yeah, Fisher.
Yeah.
I think so. I think we just continue
Well, I mean, and then we.
What we
deal
just
with
said,
it.
just, let's go with it.
If you test it, you can drain it and then try bentonite or something. I just don't think paying $3,000 to dig 5 holes.
Not
I
official.
think he
I'm
saw
telling
the
you, from
light.
his attitude on our phone call, it was, there's no need, we don't need to, it's not, I don't feel comfortable with this corner, and then a day later, he said, Mike said that he was really wanting, now they're
No
wanting,
problem.
so.
Well, I was unaware of your original discussion with it.
Yeah, so,
That being
You got
said,
some free gas money.
yeah, he saw some.
Free
Yeah,
money,
we changed
for
it.
the sale, I mean, for,
Isn't that lagoon lower than even the lower basin?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
not cut up, right? It's
I'm
not.
not sure.
it's not, I
I
don't
mean,
mean,
you gotta-
I wouldn't bet, I wouldn't
You gotta
bet,
creek
I wouldn't bet the
in.
ranch.
They creek and run a full all the
They're
time.
doing a water
There's a
test.
creek.
That's lower than the.
yeah, Donnie,
Yeah.
Donnie, but here's the problem, you got a creek in between them, it's lower than.
Right here,
both of
this
them, so it's
blue
low.
line actually
That's
runs
pretty
right
much
here.
lower.
Creek got water in
That's
it.
our
Yeah.
crossing
Yeah,
that we
runs,
go
runs
down
downhill
through.
all the
There
time.
you go.
Right.
It's not gonna run
We need
down
to get
either
down
one of
and
these
walk together.
up that hill to where those places.
That'd be wild, wouldn't it?
That never really showed us.
I don't see that.
Mud bug in hand,
Oh, shoot.
Creek?
buck and mud bug, that's a show.
So per Fisher's schedule, they got 2 more
Buck,
weeks.
buck and the mud bug, that'd be quite a show, so
2
anyway.
more weeks. Okay.
So I think we move forward, what, your all's thoughts, I mean, it's
I
built,
agree with what Matt said.
I do too.
Go ahead and do
Let's
that,
do
and
that.
then at night.
if we need to, as it occurs, and
Well,
I think we,
when were you all have the water test, the samples? When were you all-
Anytime,
Yeah, it should have been back.
yeah, we're
as soon as
actually,
we get that guarantees
That
that
would,
that's
that
out of
would
question.
really be helpful. to
I'll
know.
try to call down there tomorrow and see, usually they're pretty quick on turnaround on them, and it's been, I think we took those last
That's-
Tuesday.
That's gonna
so-
tell you whether.
Yeah, that'll eliminate
Well, that'll
something.
eliminate,
Did
but
you
it's
take
certainly
some out of the
water, it's
creek
not.
too?
Huh?
Did you take any water out of the creek?
Well, the creek's even
Oh,
lower,
the
creek's
ditch.
even lower.
No, we just,
Creek's lower
we
than all.
took it out of the
But the
lagoon,
water's not
and,
underneath that creek and come,
yeah, the water that's coming up through the dirt,
Water district don't have a water line going through there, do they?
not to my knowledge.
So we got
We'll
it
get a
sounds
bill
like we
for
got a
it.
plan, we're not gonna do the holes unless it was to come back, I don't know if the test ends up the way we think it is, which is no evidence of gray water.
Alright.
So we move on and we test, finish the top, test, we're gonna take the dirt, we wanna see, you're gonna find what the cost is of that dirt, right?
Yep.
And to keep it, and I think we should keep it, because it's a resource that we should keep and all.
So that will be a change order, so what about the gravel?
Yeah.
Are we
are you
taking
gonna
that out
check
of the
with
project too,
Christensen
or
about
no?
Yeah,
taking
no.
some of that?
Yeah,
That's
I'll
another,
call them.
that's another thing we need to know.
Do
I
we
mean,
have
there's-
time to do the gravel, the city? So let's just get that done and leave
Don't
that
have-
alone, cause that's
don't
gotta
have
be done
trucks
before we
to
get
You
through.
don't have the trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that
Okay.
kind of.
Can you
So we're not
raise
gonna
the
worry
truck?
about touching the
The
gravel
dirt-
right now,
the
I
dirt,
guess,
right?
but-
Well, I think we can
Don't
shorten
try
it,
for you.
I think
We can readjust it.
we can
certainly.
shorten it up to what we had talked about, that
Okay.
is gonna be bare minimum of what we will need to get
Building
to
a
all
shed when you
locations.
build a house, you
So I
you
think we're in
wanna
agreement
build a
to do
shed
that.
because you don't
Is that
have-
right?
Yeah,
Are we in agreement to shorten it to what Matt talked about earlier for the gravel, but
You
still
wanna-
have Fisher do that
You
part?
wanna lay out
We're in agreement.
So
That
you
suits
wanna go
Mike,
You
and-
can-
concrete
It suits
pad,
Matt to
Existing
do.
you're
road.
gonna need gravel.
Yeah, I would, yeah, where they need it, they're
Do the minimum.
they're reassessing the minimum of what they just got, they really
They
need.
might,
To finish
on
the
that top
project.
basin,
Right here.
Okay, so
that gravel
I would,
road,
Okay,
I would
are you
entertain a
just jumping
motion.
from top to top?
okay.
So we're not going across the top of gravel's what we had decided.
Hold on,
But you're
I'll
gonna
tell you
come
what- I'll tell
here,
you what's
come
gonna
here,
be.
all here,
Up to telescope, and then a little turnaround, just
so
that.
it's not going down
No.
and then back up.
No, just stopping at that corner there.
Going between the berms.
So,
No,
Need
Between the
lots of
basins?
gravel.
The bottom basin
So what I'm looking at, guys and ladies,
Right here,
is entertaining a motion for a change order
right through here.
to eliminate removal of the dirt to 55,000 tons.
We already did
Cubic
that. We already
foot.
did that.
Okay.
We already did that.
Leave it on site.
Leave it aside, so we got that, and then the other one would be to a change order for the minimum gravel needed, for the project as directed by Matt and the city of Centralia as a
And then
change.
we finish it as time goes on later
As
in the
needed,
next
if needed.
years, right?
Yeah. And our idea is to move forward at this point with the basins already built and test them both and go from there.
Okay, I'll make a motion and reduce the amount of gravel needed per, Mike and Matt.
Suggestion.
and
Their layout, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
to make sure we get enough to finish the project for DNR.
Second.
Have a first and a second for change order to do the minimal amount of gravel possible, based upon the city's, recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
How do you come up with that amount of gravel anyway? What, is that on us or is that DNR? It's just
How do
our
you-
own need, the gravel.
How many you need, how much you need?
How much you need, who determines that?
How much you need?
Does it get inspected?
If we do a change order, then we, as long as what we decide, we do a
On
change
the
order.
gravel,
then
as
it's
long as
good.
we're happy with it,
Yeah.
DNR doesn't come in and say, well, you don't have adequate gravel. They won't ever say that, will they?
No.
Okay, good,
No.
that's all I need.
This just based upon our preference.
Yeah, our needs.
DNR hardly don't get here.
Okay.
They just
So,
want the water. don't they?
Let's move to the action agenda, permits and licensing, a fireworks display, it's a resolution.
Yeah, no, by one. Separate
Or, yeah.
motion.
It's a resolution, right? So, bill number, what's the bill number?
2459.
Okay, 2459. Fireworks display, I would accept a motion for the first and only reading of, bill number 2459, by title only.
I make a motion, we, pass 2459 by reading only. Okay,
First,
Okay.
you got a second?
but
Sorry.
Have a first and a second to give bill number 2459 its first and only reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
A resolution issuing a permit to the city of Centralia, Missouri to conduct a special firework display at the city recreation park.
bill, I move that the bill be, 2459 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second. Have a first and a second for bill number 2459 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Motley?
Yes.
Alderman Decker?
Yes,
Alderman Rogers?
Four.
Alderman Magley?
No.
All right. Bill number 2459 passes. Resolution number.
R-22-14.
Thank you. 7, we've already talked about, which is purchasing of the $3,000 hold, which we're not going to prospect to do. That moves us to item 8, as may arise. Anything for as may arise? Going once, going twice, okay, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
second.
Have a first and a second by Terry. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.